our topic is very big for today,
Yeah.
trusting yourself. And I feel like I want to jump immediately into one of the first questions we've got. What is happening if you don't feel? How do you trust yourself? So, what does come for you when you hear the question?
Yeah, when I first heard the question was like, how do we even feel? And no, how can we trust ourselves if we don't feel? And what came up for me was if we can't feel, it's different reasons. One is there is too much noise, but the other, and maybe more deep, is that it's because we are disconnected. And we are disconnected because it's to keep us safe. Like we learned that in our childhood, it was like a survival mode or like a way of coping that we used. And now it's also the place that we feel safe, but also we feel comfortable. So when we go into silence, we feel uncomfortable, or we don't feel anything, or we feel like that there is, yes, just silence, nothing coming up, or confusion. And the point, like where we need to start, is we need to start very small. And yeah, I understand also that this blockage is what kind of keep us safe in childhood. So having compassion. And I would say the first is to start to feel in little things, like how do I feel when I say yes or when I say no, or how do I feel after talking with someone, or how do I feel in my body after scrolling on social media, and then kind of see what comes up, and really kind of listen, and but also be honest about what comes up. Maybe what comes up, we don't like that answer, and then kind of try again and again to do the same, and see what comes up, and with exercise we can feel it. And for example, in my case, sometimes I feel when I don't listen, like, I don't know, I'm eating dinner and I feel like, don't take another plate. And then I take that other plate and then I realize, it came, but I didn't listen, because now that I'm eating, I know exactly it's too much. And sometimes we feel it, but we just override it so quickly that we don't realize that it was a sign. And yeah, also knowing that awareness is the first step. Like with awareness, we can change. With awareness, we can start feeling, and then that it comes with practice, but that we also need to really be compassionate and have this willingness also to listen, because sometimes it's also, the question is, are we ready to receive, right? Because it's always coming, like it's there. It's not something that we need to learn, like it's there, but the question is, are we really willing, or are we open to listen, to let it come?
Correct. I also feel like when we are not feeling, for me, that means there is trauma inside of us. There is something that we need to overcome. And when I read the question, I was thinking, okay, maybe this is why the biggest awakening sometimes happens when there is a very big dramatic event in our life, because we are, like you said, disconnected, we don't feel. And in order to feel something and to go deeper, something very, very bad needs to happen. And this is where most awakening happens. So this was the only thing that I wanted to add. And of course, it's very, very interesting, like you said, this voice, for example, when we eat, because there are so many women, when we eat, those voices, like the inner voice, it's a quiet voice. It's not screaming. So we really need to be in silence, a little bit more quiet in order to hear that voice. Because logic and the mind speaks much louder, and sometimes the voice is there, but it's a little bit more quiet, and we have to pay much more attention in order to hear it. And also, I believe like the small steps are very important. The small questions are very important. If we start listening for the little things, it becomes much more easier to listen to our true voice when it's about something bigger in our life. But first we start with, what do I want to eat? Am I cold? Am I warm? Do I want to have a 5 minute rest or walk? What do I want to do? And I'm thinking about parenting as well. When we have our little children, and when we were young, parents many times don't allow this inner voice to become more stronger, I believe. What do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. That came up for me as well when you were talking about trauma, is that we kind of, for so many years, we used to kind of numb or distract ourselves or avoid things because we were taught to not to feel. And now it's when it's so uncomfortable, so difficult to feel, because we are just used to many, many years of practice of not feeling, and that's then a difficulty. So with our children, yeah, I think it's super important that we teach them early on to trust their feelings, because and their inner voice, because they have it, like children have it so strong. But the problem is that we want to decide for them, we want to kind of make the decision for them, we want it our way, and that's what created this disconnect. So to really give them the chance to choose as much as possible, and to listen to what they, at least acknowledge and listen what they want, and kind of repeat or mirror, and then we can go into a conversation, into like to find a solution together, but to kind of discuss, okay, you feel like this, you want like this, but acknowledge instead of kind of shutting it down in the first place.
Yes, for me, I feel like I want to give like a practical example, like very specific. At least in my parenting, it's very important, and I see many parents struggle. Like they want their children to eat healthy, and of course, there are so many unhealthy choices out there. But I believe much more important for me, for my children, is to approve their choice, even if it's not the perfect choice at this very moment. But for me, it's more important to trust your inner self than to eat healthy snack. And with time, we really need to invest a little bit time, and then with time, children start making the right choices. But first, we need to acknowledge what they want. And I do understand for parents it's very difficult to reverse the cycle, because once we break the cycle, the children really, for it could be even for a month, they might not know what to eat. But once they start listening to the inner voice, it's so much easier for them go back to the inner true self than for us becoming adults. So I just wanted to mention it, because for me it's like very important. Uh, I really believe it's it's a lot of pressure on our children when we don't allow them to feel what they want to eat and what they want, and also with clothing, what they want to wear. Sometimes we insist on like warmer clothing, or we insist them to take off a jacket, but sometimes they feel more secure in that jacket and they really need it. and it's important for them. So this is big.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I feel the same as you do. And like, for example, with eating, the way I do it is like I put the boundary on what comes into my house. You know, I decide what I buy, what it's okay and what not. But then what is in the house, they can choose what they want. I'm not telling them you need to this or that, but also like at the table, like they can eat how much they want or what they want first or how much they're yeah the
Yeah,
also what they want like
I have the same rule. Although I have also the rule on the outside of the home, you can eat whatever you feel. There are more choices, and sometimes we do the exceptions. But I also do, there is no double standard in our home. It's the same for me. If I want to eat something sweet, I don't buy and hide for me at home. I just need to go outside again. And the reason behind it, it's also you need to do the effort, you need to do the exercise, you need to do the walking, which is also helpful. And sometimes you just decide, I'm not going out for just one sweet thing or whatever it is. But yeah, what we bring into our home and what we model as a behavior, it's also very important.
yeah, that's what I wanted to come up as well is like to model it, right? I say you can eat this, but I eat this because this feels good in my body, like, and to really kind of model this. I feel this, I eat this much, or I choose this now. I'm at the restaurant, I choose to eat, I don't know, a salad, but because I feel that it's good for my body, or like, yeah, to kind of choose really what feels good for you, and to kind of also say that to your children, you know, like you can eat this, but I feel good eating maybe something else.
And the other point, although we are going in a little bit different direction, but it's also very important, like when there is celebration, don't celebrate with sweets if you believe they're not healthy, because it's like, again, like double standard. You say, we don't like sweet food on our table, but then at the same time, there is this birthday party, and the most important thing is the cake. So I'm not saying not to have a cake on the birthday party, but don't overstimulate kids like when they have holidays and parties to eat sweet, because
Mhm.
make the connection like you can give fruits for celebration. You don't need to give cake.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes we just put too much um focus on something, and then these connection are created that you need to eat a certain thing for a certain event.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's then what they grew up with. Something else that I wanted to say that connects to what we were saying before is like something also that helped me, or that I shifted ahead, was that when I had two choices to make, like in the past, I would get nuts. Like I had two invitations at the same weekend, and then I would start like thinking my way through, should I do this or should I do this, which is better, and doing lists and everything. And the shift that I did with like working on myself is now I sit in silence and I listen for the answer, because the answer is in me. So I kind of drop from my head into my heart and I wait the answer to come, which is, let's say, best for me, which in the past I would just go in my mind forth and back.
Mm.
And that's something also I want to give to our listener. When there is something that you can't decide, instead of overthinking it, just try to think less and listen more.
And how this decision feels in your body? Where do you feel it? Do you feel calm and happy and in abundance, or it's too stressful, or there is something? And just pay attention, more attention to the body, because usually
Mm.
when there is like difficult to listen to your voice, there is trauma and there is this disconnection. So we need to go back to the body, and one thing is listen, but then the other thing is really allow yourself to feel, start feeling. And the body always speaks. We just need to have a conversation also with the body, I believe. How do you feel? Like even if there is no question, just like pause yourself, like at this very moment, and ask yourself, do I feel comfortable? Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Am I calm? Like, am I grounded? Just to feel where you are, even without a question, just to see,
Yeah.
just to observe and to be
Yeah.
present.
Absolutely, because nowadays we're just so much in the doing one after the other that there is never really this break. And the break doesn't need to be big, but it's again to bring the awareness to take a break and to ask yourself, how do I feel? Maybe multiple times in the day, and just sit for a moment with that question. It doesn't need to be too long, but it's just kind of cutting this stream of doing without feeling.
And I love doing this game also with my kids. Like, it's really like a game, like an interview. I ask them, can you pause? Can you tell me how you feel? Are you hungry? What is happening in your body? And the answers that children give, they are so amazing. They are so connected, and we can really learn. First, we can play this game with them, so we can spend beautiful time, we can connect, but we can also learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this
Yeah.
game that you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there
Nice.
is so much more about trusting yourself, so I think we can continue next time. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Alia.
Have a
Bye.
beautiful day. Bye.